All right, guys, so we're right here on the water today, and we are going to be, I guess, doing two things. We're going to be combining some bluegill fishing along with, I guess, the casting test slash casting impressions of the hottest bait finesse reel at the moment, the Flight Feather. And in case you missed out on, I guess, the information on this reel, I suggest you check out the unboxing video I did. But just a long story short, this reel boasts the highest specs of any stock bait finesse reel ever. It's got the lightest stock spool of any bait finesse reel ever by a long shot, coming in at around 3.4 to 3.5 grams. So yeah, we're gonna see if the on-paper specs can provide the expected fishing experience. And let me tell you what I've mounted the Flight Feather on. It's the Garcia Salty Stage. It's the 6'3" Ultralight bait finesse prototype. It's got a moderate action. One of my favorite bait finesse rods that I own, and I own quite a bit. I'm running 3-pound fluorocarbon. And this fluorocarbon is spooled directly from either my 22 Aldebaran or the 23 Alphas Air TW. And you can see that even though the spool is extremely light, it holds quite a bit of line, as it's probably barely halfway full. And we're going to start off with a lure that weighs about 1.5 grams, this little bug lure with a Trout Slayer jig head. And it's time to set this reel up. So right now I got quite a bit of side-to-side play, and I'm probably going to just have it so it just has a hair side-to-side movement. Now, spool tension doesn't click, but turning it is very easy and very smooth. And we're going to jack these brakes up to, I guess, a higher setting. Let's say, I don't know, let's go all the way to the max, just in case this reel does not have strong enough brakes. All right, I think I actually turned it all the way down to its lowest setting, so I'm gonna quickly remedy that before I blow up this spool and ruin all my expensive 3-pound fluorocarbon. Okay, there we go. All right, so luckily the sun has went behind some clouds and I can see some fish swimming around. So let's see if we can get some quality bluegill. All right, cast very, very smooth, very quiet. And it looks like the brakes are definitely strong enough, but they're not overpowering at the max setting. It's not swinging the lure off to the left. It's a good sign. I saw some small bass swimming around earlier. All right, let's put some more effort into these casts. Okay, wow, pretty impressive. That went out there probably about 40, couple of feet over 40 foot maybe. Accuracy dead on. And this is on max brake setting. And we're having all those fish. All right, let's go this way. Look at that, smooth, smooth, and smooth. Oh, there's one. I think this is a bass. Nope, it's a bluegill. A little on the small side, but still a fun fight. All right, the sun is starting to peek out from behind this cloud. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the brakes down one, I guess, official setting. Now the numbers on the brake dial don't go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They actually, okay, whoa. They actually do like 16, 20, something like that. Big numbers. I guess trying to differentiate themselves. But I had a bit of an overrun on that cast that worked itself out because the cast was so long. So it seems like this reel, because it has the mag track style braking, you're not really going to be able to get deep into the brake settings, which is fine. I'm gonna turn it up just a hair. As long as the brakes are not too weak. Holy shit. Okay, so did have some overrun. Thankfully a small one, but it is launching this little 1.5 gram lure like any other BFS reel would launch like a 2.5 gram lure. And keep in mind, this is a soft plastic. It's not a hard bait that tends to fly through the air easier. Okay, so since I had an overrun, I'm gonna turn the brakes up just a little bit more, just a little bit, and let's go out this way. So yeah, this light spool is definitely paying dividends. Now there are a lot of reels that I've used and fished this particular lure with, but I don't remember any of them slinging this bait quite as far and quite as easy either. All right, let's go out this way. Now the downside is that I am still getting a little bit of overrun. So these brakes could be, you know, just good enough. Don't worry, I will be putting on a heavier lure here in a moment. God, the accuracy and the distance you can get with this tiny light lure is pretty amazing with this flight feather. And the retrieve is, it's glass. It is super smooth. I mean, everything about this reel is smooth. Casting, retrieving. All right, let's do some overhead casting. All right, overhead casting, easy as pie. I was just taking that time to pick out a loop that I didn't pick out in the previous few casts. And I don't think the fish are going to do anything with the sun out like this. Okay, so I am fishing dangerously because I'm putting this lure right into some cover that if a decent fish bit it, oh, just like that. Oh, he's trying to, okay. All right, I was able to get him out. But if that was like a bass of any decent size, it probably would have ran and tangled me up in those bushes, and that would have been it. I would not have had the power to pull it out. All right, so we got 2 bluegill, and we're gonna go back into the danger zone, even though, as I just explained, the decent sized fish got my lure, decided to wrap me up. There'd be nothing I could do. But this dangerous stuff is where the fish are probably going to be, as we just saw there. Look at that, effortless overhand casting. Now, if you're new to bait finesse, you probably know that sidearm casting light lures is much easier than overhead casting, especially if your rod is a bit too stiff. But an excellent reel can definitely help with that. But look how easily I'm launching this 1.5 gram soft bait. Now, these are baits that, especially with the trout magnet jig head, they tend to tumble. And it's definitely down to this super lightweight spool. A spool that is like 2.5 times lighter than that of the CURADO BFS, which here in the American market, I guess would be considered somewhat competition. All right, so while I had the chance, I tied on a slightly heavier bait. It's a KATSTELLA Easy Shiner 2-inch with a 1/32 ounce jig head. I think the total weight of this lure is probably around 2 grams, maybe 2.5. I'll show a picture on the scale for you if I don't break this lure off. But it's a heavier lure, and we are going to see what this spool and more importantly these brakes can do with the heavier lure. That will generate, I guess, faster spool speeds. Here we go. Doubt we're gonna catch anything. I think they're wanting insects, but okay, so with the brakes set between maximum and its next official numbered setting, so far so good. Okay, let's do it overhead. Look at that. This reel, casting wise, I mean, it is no joke. Just imagine like a little weighted jerkbait. All right, look at that. Put a lot more effort into it. Looked at the spool while it was in the middle of the cast, no problems at all. All right, let's see if we can go lower on the brakes. We're officially at whatever the second official highest brake setting is, and let's cast. All right, so that is definitely on the limit. I saw a few loops. Luckily the cast was long enough that it worked itself out, but this is reminding me of a better Abu Garcia REVO LTX BF8. Okay, pretty big backlash, or overrun I should say. Worked itself out for the most part, but we are getting, God, at least 25 yards on these casts. So I'm gonna crank the brakes up a little bit, do a few more, and then gonna tie back on another insect lure, which I've been told is a imitation stonefly. Boom. So overhead cast, no problem. Do one more. Has significant overrun on that one. So if you don't have a consistent cast stroke, you probably want to leave these brakes a little on the high side, because they're very sensitive to different casting strokes and spool speeds. But man, distance, it is up there with the best. Now for those of you who are wondering about the Lingle 2, don't worry, that's coming. I did have it out testing it a couple of weeks ago, but I don't think I had the right rod to really bring out what it could do. So I do still have something planned for that reel, something special actually. So for those of you who are wondering, Lingle 2 videos are coming. So yeah, I mean, no problem. Sidearm casting. Overhead casting, you may run into a couple of little loops of overrun, but if you're experienced enough, you should be able to work past that. See, a smooth casting stroke with a slightly lower brake setting resulted in perfect spool control. All right, let's tie on that stonefly lure. Okay, so just for fun, we're gonna see if the flight feather can cast thumb free. Now, is that important in the grand scheme of things? In my opinion, no, but since the fish don't appear to be biting, might as well test it out. So the brakes are turned up to almost all the way maximum. And here we go. Oh, had a couple of little loops there. It was a backlash. It's not quite thumb free on that cast. Oh, look at that. That one looks like it was thumb free. Spool kept on spinning slowly to release line out, which is good. Look at that, thumb free. All right, let's do an overhead cast, see if it can cast that thumb free. Ooh, look at that. And distance was still really, really good. We're talking well over 40 foot in my opinion and estimation. And once I reel this in, we're gonna move spots. Okay, new spot. It's much darker here. We got a lot of shade already on the water. And hopefully this will improve our luck. So as far as comfort and palming, the flight feather, it is not the smallest reel out there, but it is really, really comfortable. I didn't even think of bringing up the palming and comfort because that's how comfortable it is. I just didn't even think about it. Now usually on a reel, you only notice things that are uncomfortable or different than what you're used to. The flight feather, since it is pretty much shaped like the 2016 ALDEBARAN, it is super comfortable to palm. If you have bigger hands, you probably really like this. So while I'm out here fishing, I'm gonna go ahead and I guess wrap up my final initial thoughts on this flight feather and its performance so far with these lighter lures. And if I catch more fish, I'll just include them in this video, probably overlay it with me talking. But this reel casts these light lures like a normal reel would cast, I guess, a normal lure. Easy casting, awesome distance, no kind of casting stroke adjustment, not having to release early, not having to do weird things to get the accuracy that you want. And it does it really, really smooth and quiet. Everything about this reel is smooth and quiet. And I know this is I guess what you would consider a Chinese reel or Chinese market reel that over in China they're wanting around $200 for. And I'll have to say $200 for a magnesium reel this light, and they actually got the hard part right too, which is the build quality, the refinement. Super smooth, built well, feels like a mainstream offering. And that's usually where, you know, the budget Chinese bait finesse reels like the Dark Wolf Ultra and all its different variants, that's where they fall short. Even the KASTKING Kestrel Elite was kind of subpar feel wise for a $200 reel. This one, everything feels refined and well made, like it came from a company that's been making reels for years. Now, if you remember, this reel is being sold here in America through NACO Shop, and it's actually cheaper than they sell it for on AliExpress. And that is insane because you go to AliExpress to save money on stuff, not pay more. So once again, I believe the price is like what, $179? No, $169, $170 free shipping. So that's like $40 cheaper than the CURADO BFS. And it's been a while since I've actually casted the CURADO BFS, but it's not been that long since I've held it and cranked it. But this reel is smoother than the more expensive CURADO, and more than likely going to handle light lures better. Now, one area where I feel it needs improvement on is maybe the braking, but then again, I've been really only casting ultralight lures for this test. If I went up to like a 1/8 ounce, maybe even a 5 gram lure, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to access more of the braking range. Oh, there's one. Oh, Oh, he's pulling. Oh, it's a good size one. Oh, look at this guy. Shoot, he's probably a good 7-incher. I know not trophy size, but way bigger than the ones I caught earlier. Fought super hard on this ultralight. So much fun. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, this reel versus the CURADO BFS. If you want to see a side-by-side casting comparison with the CURADO, as it and the KASTKING Kestrel Elite are really the only two reels sold here in America that would be around the same price point as this flight feather. Let me know in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up. And if there's the interest there, I will put them side by side. And I choose the CURADO because the CURADO is, strangely enough, surprisingly I should say, always on the Tackle Warehouse bestsellers page. Literally every few weeks when I go check. So Shimano is definitely moving a lot of CURADO bait finesse reels. And for those of you who are wanting maybe a cheaper alternative, something that's can handle the lighter lures better, I mean, this flight feather seems to be it. But we don't know. We don't know until we cast them side by side. Because during the, I guess, Bait Finesse Olympics, that CURADO BFS surprised me. It beat out a lot of reels that were more impressive on paper. Okay, so we're gonna live a little dangerously. We're gonna cast right around this laydown. Now it's in the sun, but ooh, immediately had a hit. But where there's laydowns, there's fish, and casting an open exposed hook lure around laydowns requires a lot of accuracy to not get hung up and snagged. Boom, look at that. That was just a little flick. Oh, got snagged for a second. Just a little flick, and this flight feather is putting this 1.5 gram lure right up in this laydown or around it, and I'm not getting hung up yet. Keyword is yet. See, with a lesser reel, oh, there must be some submerged branches there I can't see. But with the lesser reel, this would be extremely difficult to cast around it with confidence that you're not gonna cast it into those branches. All right, I'm gonna turn the brakes all the way down. I'm gonna try to pitch this lure right in the Y of this tree. It's about a good almost 15 feet. Let's see if it can do it. Boom, it did it. No problem. And nothing. So how many of you guys out there have ever pitched a 1.5 gram lure? Probably not too many. Probably not too many. Okay, pitching it in, getting it out before it gets hung up. So with the lesser reel, oh shoot, it casted or pitched this lure so far, I really overshot my target, and now I'm hung up. I don't think I'm getting it back, and I probably scared any fish around there. All right, well, on that note, let's wrap this video up. My final initial impressions of this Flight Feather are extremely positive. I mean, for the money, the only reels that are probably going to be comparable coming out of Japan are going to be costing way more. We're talking ALDEBARAN BFS, possibly DAIWA SS Air, STEEZ Air maybe, CONQUEST BFS. But for around its price, I think this reel will probably dominate. I'm talking KASTKING Kestrel Elite, maybe that new Art Gravity reel, which is really the Hybo Rise Air with a different color spool and different knobs, and more than likely the CURADO BFS. I don't think I'd be able to pitch 1.5 grams as easy as I just did with the CURADO BFS. But once again, if you guys want this reel, if you've seen anything in this video that makes you think you want to buy one, go to the link in the description to Neko Shop, get an extremely good deal on it. And once again, let me know in the comment section if you want to see this reel go head to head against the best-selling CURADO BFS. All right guys, thanks a lot.